Uh-huh. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. Good morning, everybody. Thursday. Is it St. Patrick's Day or something? We're wearing green and whatnot. Is that what it is? Or was that yesterday? What day is this? It's today, yeah? Hmm. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Talking about the creative economy today. We've been all about arts and culture is what we do around here from a global perspective. And you know that from now and every now and again, we're able to reach out across the diaspora, across the community, and dialogue with people about, arts and culture in our communities. And, what a blessing. I'm on the Arts Council for Long Beach. I'm the vice president, president-elect, honored to be in that position, to be, at the table, if you will, of a major arts and culture institution in a city. Know a lot of people around the community for years. Albert Lord, shout out to you, my brother. Community Build over there in Lambert Park called me up and said, man, I've got to do a series. Got to do a series on the creative economy. And, as municipalities, regions recover after these last 2 years, right? COVID-19, shutdowns, all that kind of stuff, right? And these cities are in their offices trying to figure out how they're going to recover. How are we going to get as close back to normal as we were before? And I think that arts and culture is an essential service in that space. And so this is where we begin to talk about the creative economy and finding the resources for music, performing arts, painters, just the whole arts part, because it's important to our well-being as human beings. That's what I just think. I think it builds rich communities. I think it encourages tourism. I think a lot of different things, But then one says, what is arts and culture? We've been focusing this series on, African Americans in classical music. Remember our previous episode, we had Brother George Davis, the former executive director of the California African American Museum. We had Professor Janice White, who is a renowned, scholar and expert in the whole classical music. Sister plays a harpsichord, right? It's like, what? It's really something. And I used to work over there at KJLH Radio in Inglewood. And spent a lot of time in Inglewood. I got my initials written in the book over there. And, they have, as Inglewood transforms, we just saw, fantastic time with the Super Bowl and everything. Inglewood is changing, right? And part of that renaissance over there is the Beckman Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles. Remember the place where they had the Amen Center? Was for African American male achievements. And I guess back in the day, for all you Inglewoodians, used to be a bank. Remember, right there next to the driveway that comes out of City Hall, right there, that little building. So the world-renowned architect Frank Gehry comes in, puts a world-class design together. The LA Philharmonic says, let's get together and preserve and promote arts and culture, classical music space for young people right in the community of Inglewood. And so now you have it, the Beckman Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles. I think that was them that was doing the Black National Anthem with Mary Mary out there on the grounds of SoFi Stadium. So to tell us all about it, where's she at? Camille? Camille Delaney-McNeill. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, the Super Bowl was a very special moment, and actually, Yola participated in the Super Bowl in 2016. So it wasn't their first Super Bowl, but I think this one was quite meaningful. Like you said, we were able to perform the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing with Mary Mary. And that was just a special moment to honor that song and elevate it on such a national platform. So
All right, all right. And then we go over in the Crenshaw district. Transformation hat. We're looking at all the hood is transforming everywhere we go. Oh my goodness, what am I going to wear? It's really so incredible. I know that our beloved Lemert Park is transforming. The train station's coming there, and I'm part of the West Angeles Community Development Corporation, dedicated to developing that Crenshaw corridor and putting affordable housing, all of it. There's a lot of discussion on the development of Crenshaw, one of which is the renowned Vision Theater. City is in the mix. The Department of Cultural Affairs is over there making it happen. And we're looking forward to a world-class performing arts facility. And we have the project manager from the Los Angeles, City of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs. Yvonne, as soon as my mouth stops acting up, I got you. Yvonne Farrow, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing?
Yes, yes, yes. All right. What's it like to be the project manager of the Vision Theater? You got a lot of responsibility on your lap there.
Yes, it's an honor and a pleasure to serve the Department of Cultural Affairs in this way. The Vision Theater is the jewel of our community, and it's going to be a state of the art facility for performing arts, dance, music, theater, and of course, film. And I think when you guys see it, you're just going to be so excited. It's breathtaking.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Where you had a scare last year, right? During the COVID, didn't they have a fire right there next door?
There was a fire at the building next to us.
Hmm.
It just had a little impact with our building, but not very much. But
Hmm.
yeah, there had been a small fire.
Hmm. I'd like to just ask both of you, just your communities in general, where you have your positions and your titles and all that, but at the same time, right, you are serving your community. You're right there on the front line, and you're both in historic, meaningful, locations in our region. What is it like to have a front seat to the transformation that you are witnessing from your seat in those various institutions?
Well, I feel a great sense of responsibility. I love uh, Leimert Park, South Los Angeles, the city of LA at large. And to have the opportunity and the privilege to serve our community in this way, particularly through the work that we do at the Department of Cultural Affairs, to create jobs, I'm sorry, to create artistic opportunities through the granting that we do and the commissions that we give, to keep artists working, particularly uh, at COVID time, when it first happened, we had projects that were supposed to be live. And we were able to pivot those projects online so that those artists could um, keep that income, keep those commissions, keep those grants. So to be able to serve in this way and to honor the what it means to be the mecca of Black culture in Leimert Park Village and South LA at large, it's just an awesome responsibility and one that I don't take lightly.
Mhm, mhm. What
You know,
about you, Camille? The Inglewood is on the move. Oh my
oh,
goodness.
listen, I echo Yvonne's sentiments around responsibility and stewardship, really. And doubly for me, I'm a transplant coming from the
Mhm,
East Coast in Baltimore. So, the thought of maintaining, advocating for protecting the rich history here that you've talked about in Inglewood is so important to me, to be paying attention, to be elevating artists' voices, the culture that's been existent here long before this center was even built, right? You have the Forum right down the street, that just such an essential landmark in Inglewood and arts and culture right there alone. So, I think it's powerful to see this kind of movement, and I enjoy being able to bring a kind of third party objective viewpoint to it, because I think it allows to be able to see both sides. And for me, whenever I get the opportunity to uplift community artists, musicians, initiatives, especially around our young people, I'm very attuned to that, and I work very closely right now with Inglewood Public Art and representatives that support that. So it's just been quite the phenomenal journey to get to know and fall in love with the city, and to be a steward of that.
It's interesting. So you're a transplant now. How long have you been here? Well, you don't,
Do you
you
really
don't
want
know
to
about
know?
the wood?
I arrived in June 2021. I am very brand new Angelina. I'm going to claim it in Inglewood. Embrace her and love
Wow.
her.
Okay. So you don't know where you are.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I do know and am very aware and have met so many amazing people who have welcomed me with open arms and have schooled me, if you would say, on the richness of arts and culture that's here in the history. So I'm glad for that because I can take
Yeah.
that history forward.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Go down there and knock on my friends at KJLS.
I
Knock on the
know,
door. That's why
like literally, I
yeah.
can knock from my office.
Oh, you're right there next door. I worked there almost 25 years.
Oh, that's
Okay.
fantastic.
So good stuff. All right. Now, you all, this is great. And even me, glad to be on the board of directors for the um, uh, Arts Council for Long Beach and having a front seat to this recovery as we advocate for the arts. And cities are recovering, regions are recovering, and making sure that there's the proper resources, in place to do, the work that we do to preserve these arts, right? And so I would like to ask each of you, I mean, you both have big backers. Okay. So City of LA, the LA Philharmonic, and I mean, it's great and everything, but what are some of the challenges that you see for the things that you need? Like, what do you need that you would like to see the system kind of move a little more efficiently, or what's the need for each of your organizations? And Yvonne, I'll start with you because you know what, there's people who'll say, "Man, it sure has taken a long time for the vision to get cracking here. What do you need?"
Well, I often liken it to when a woman's carrying a baby, a child, and that child needs time to grow and develop. And we've gone from just an auditorium type setting to um, a Class A theater, and that takes time. And so, as we fill the theater with all that it needs in terms of um, equipment and staging and offices, and building that structure, making it sound, making it resilient, you know, uh, uh, sustainability efforts. We want to deliver a beautiful baby to the community. So, in terms of what we need, it takes time to do that, and so we just ask for patience and just know that we've listened to the community, we've heard their concerns. We know that this particular venue, we manage 7 venues, performing arts venues, and we have a plethora of cultural centers in the Department of Cultural Affairs. But just know that we are doing our best to deliver um, um, a healthy, sound, vibrant uh, structure that the community can call home and that we'll be proud to show great programming in. The Wiz, I don't know, Guys and Dolls. uh, we'll see what comes in. But this is what we're doing. So I would say time to really, um, that it has time to cook and cultivate. You know.
Be able to do music performances in there.
Yes, musical performances. In terms of sound, we're making sure that orchestras, I know the youth orchestra could perform there, and musicals, dance concerts, theatrical plays with music, comedy, film, uh, just whatever you can think of, spoken word, poetry, a place that people can convene, conventions, as a place for memorials and community gatherings.
What's
So,
the capacity in there? It used to be seven, if I recall. Vision used to be seven something.
right. Well, the it used to have 1,400 seats, I believe, when it was a,
Mm-hmm.
mo- a movie theater,
Mm-hmm.
but it'll have just under 750 seats.
Mm-hmm.
And inside, it's historically preserved. You'll see that beautiful mural on top of the wall there, and the seats. The first set around the orchestra pit are actually going to be from the original Vision Theater. They've been restored, and then the rest of the seating will be replicas of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be quite special, and of course the stage is all brand new,
Brandon.
and the office is just behind it and up into the fly loft.
Yeah, I did a lot of. I've done a lot of events inside the old Vision Theater. A lot of town hall meetings and live broadcast and everything. And even now, behind used to be the events park. Is that still going to be preserved? I know they use
Events
it
Park?
all for parking now, right? Like directly behind the Vision.
Oh no, that is, yeah. That for now, that will be parking. The
Okay.
Community district may have plans for that, but for now, it's going to be parking.
Okay. I see. I see. I got some time on that stage too.
Mhm.
Good. Now, all right. This is very fascinating. Now, I would love to go inside Frank Gehry designed, you know, Beckman Yola Center right there on the brand near Manchester. What's it look like inside there? That's so great. Did you know the history of the building before?
Yes. And also
Okay.
used to be a Burger King in addition to a
It
Beckman,
did. A Burger
right?
King was there, right? Yes.
hmm
Yes. Burger King.
No, I mean it's really phenomenal. It's like walking into a piece of art every day that has form and function. And what's particularly inspiring is that our young people, even being the first through little fifth graders that we've started with, about 130 of them this year, being able to walk through these doors, and very deliberately there are two entrances and access points to the building. There's the front, which we label kind of like the public entrance. It's La Brea facing. There's huge glass windows from floor to ceiling, if you will, where you can see inside and you can see outside. We're trying to build that natural connectivity, but our young people come in through the artist entrance. And so if you can envision what it's like for any artist to come into a performance space, they have their specialized entrance where things are accessible to them. They can get quickly to their classrooms, to the stage, to rehearsal. And then there are inspiring quotes that we've strategically put on the walls to let them know that when they enter this space, everything that's gone on in the day, whether it's been a good day, a bad day, an in between day, they are there to be artists, and the building is there to serve them. So it's quite inspiring. And what's also really interesting, what was really interesting to me, this is the first building that the LA Phil has ever owned, right? We're stewards of venues that we have relationships with, and have these leasing setups. But the Beckman Yola Center is owned by the LA Phil, and when they had the opportunity to raise capital and to uh, build relationships, they decided to create a building for their young people.
Mhm.
So I think that speaks volumes to the dedication of really understanding the value of community building, the value of the next generation, investing in them, and asking Frank for his support, which he lent at no charge, by the way. I have to say, it's
Wow.
pretty phenomenal. This is the only building that actually has his name. It's the Frank Gehry Artist Entrance.
Nice.
So he's very connected, and the hall itself is a replica and duplicate in pretty much every aspect of Walt Disney Concert Hall. So the floor to ceiling height with the acoustical measurements that give you that really beautiful concert sound when you have an
Mm.
instrumental ensemble.
Mm.
The flooring that's used is the same footprint at Walt Disney Concert Hall. It's a sprung floor for dancers as well.
Mhm.
Should
Mhm.
collaborations happen, there's retractable audience seating that actually has audience chairs in them, professional lighting fixtures and scaffolding, projection, lighting, sound. I mean, no expense spared to have this space. And it's beautiful too. And I know I'm rambling on, but I'm so excited. We just had our spring concert here for our young people performing for their parents. And, what we were able to do, even though they were plucking strings and playing, Row Your Boat and all these wonderful, very beginner tunes, they just selected their instruments this semester. We were able to put on a performance. We had crew here setting up chairs for them. We had lighting and fixtures and spotlights and transition sounds. It felt like a professional concert, and that's the level of investment we need to give to every young person who's aspiring to be in the arts or just participate in the arts.
Okay, so a couple questions here. So you said it's like a replica of the Walt Disney Hall, even down to the organ?
We don't have the organ, but in terms of the structural features
Okay,
of the hall itself, because that's the center. We affectionately call the center a donut. So outside in the outer rim are all the learning classrooms,
Mm.
ensemble rooms, offices for our learning team. But inside the donut hole, if you will, is that beautiful concert hall, and that has the footprint of Walt Disney Concert Hall with the stage, with we use the same acoustician that outfitted Walt Disney Concert Hall to get that really great sound. So it's a space that will grow with our young people. And on top of that, Greg, I have to say, and I know this from being in different organizations over my career and tenure, large organizations coming into new communities, especially new communities that are predominantly of color, and institutions that have historically not been. There's natural conflict and questioning of intentions, and so and rightfully so. And I think folks probably assumed us coming here, oh well, this is just about Yola, and now they're just going to bring kids from all over the place or do their own thing. No,
Mm-hmm.
we're serving, as I said, 130 students in our programming that happens 4 days a week here. The majority of which, 81%, are Inglewood residents.
Mm-hmm.
The other percentage are neighborhood areas, right, that are adjacent to Inglewood. So that was very critical to us. And also, this is a space that is also meant to serve the community. This is a performance hall as well. There are local musicians, talented artists, educators, ensembles. We had Iceola do a rehearsal here in preparation for their performance with the NFL Honors Show. This isn't just about popping up a shop for, LA Phil solo ventures. It's about how do we combine and build a new community and build roots here too.
Mm-hmm. Do you know Sabrina Barnes over there?
I do. I just was
Yeah.
on a call with her. I presented last night to her and the arts commissioners for Inglewood and Jacques
Yes.
Bajour, and great, fantastic folks. They've been great partners. Sabrina has been a great partner
She's
throughout this
great.
whole process.
Yeah, we produced the Martin Luther King Festival for the city of
Oh,
Inglewood. And we
fantastic.
got canceled this year and last, but
Yeah.
we've been doing it for a long time out
Yeah.
there. Wow, this is really an honor to be a part of, having my morning coffee, with such accomplished arts executives. This is really, really powerful stuff. And I'm like, man, we all have very good and close intersections,
Yeah.
And I would like to say, as we talk about the classics, wow, right? So, how difficult is it to gain interest, if you will, of Black and Brown students for the classics? So, performing arts, I mean, okay, performing arts, maybe I want to get out there what they used to call crunk, but now you try to teach me how to be, how to be a ballet dancer or a theatrical dancer. I could play, drums and organ and guitar and bass in the church, but I want to, now you're trying to teach me some violin or harpsichord and Brahms and Beethoven and whatnot. How hard is it to open these categories of art to our children in our communities?
Well, I can take that first stab, Greg. I think that's at me too. So first of all, it is, I'm very much a proponent of this. I was a proponent of it back home in Baltimore as well. We've adopted, and there's a movement in our field, particularly amongst musicians of color. So I myself am a classically trained musician, right? I went to school. My mother was an opera singer. So I grew up around that. I'm a flautist myself, but I also sing. And I have to say, my mom was one of the um, few but noted Black American sopranos who was singing opera. And so with that, I got a world perspective of what it means to be a Black artist in this field. But I have to say too, on my journey, since I took a different journey in flute, I attended schools and was a part of programs that fed me that repertoire, right, Greg? Like, I knew the Brahms, I knew the Mahler, I knew the Tchaikovsky, all of that. We did all the excerpts. And, I didn't know about Florence Price. I didn't know about Joseph Bellon, Chevalier de Saint-Georges. That wasn't part of the repertoire. And really, I like to tell this story because I think it's so potent. I didn't find out about the rich diversity within classical music itself. Let's just start there, until I was in a graduate program. And even then, it was not a part of my curriculum, right? I went to very traditional school settings. I went to a conservatory setting as well for my master's. And that just shook me to my core, and really bothered me a lot. And so I think that shifted. I was very much on a track to be a performer. I had done a little bit of education at the time. This is way back. And I decided that created a shift in me of, I don't want to continue this cycle, because had I known about this, I would have been so much more enriched, inspired, and feeling included in this kind of culture of instrumental and classical music. So that's the first thing. It's really about exposure to a part of classical music history that's often missed or ignored. It is just like our country, just like the world. It is so much more expansive and rich. And we have to rectify that wrong. And there are many organizations now. There's much more attention. Sphinx organization is one that I'll call out, that is really doing the work of bringing that to the light and bringing that to these big name institutions. I will also have, I do also have to say, I mean, the LA Phil is aware of that as well. And I think you can see it when you look at their season of that movement and that understanding of needing to be more inclusive. So that trickles down into then the curriculum and what we're teaching our young people. And we call that culturally responsive teaching, right? And so what's driving that is building that diversity of repertoire, building that knowledge base for our young people. So, a perfect moment, I'll be very vulnerable with everybody, preparing for the Super Bowl, preparing to perform Lift Every Voice and Sing. We had to stop and do a history lesson, because 80% of our students in the ensemble weren't quite aware of, they had maybe heard of it and maybe familiar with the tune, but didn't understand the history of the song and why it was so important to be performing this in front of 130 million, I think they said, estimated, that watched the game. So we took a pause, and from that moment, again, there was a visible shift. We engaged in conversation, and the richness with which they played after that was palpable.
Wow.
So it's moments like that. It's the culturally responsive teaching, and then it's the genre. The last point is it's
Mhm.
the genre diversification. So it's not just classical music all the time. How are you represented as a true artist? Can you play in the jazz form? We have
Mhm.
teaching artists in our program right now here at Inglewood that were not trained classically, but they're teachers in our program.
Mhm.
So do you know how to play in those disciplines? Do you know how to compose and create? There are beautiful composers now, Jesse Montgomery, the wonderful African American composer, living composer, you're playing
Mhm.
living works. This is part of the curriculum. So it's not, okay, here's your Mozart, take it twice a day, call me in the morning. It's let's kind of rectify some generational gaps here.
Sure, 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 sure.
You know, piggybacking on what Camille said
Mhm.
about exposure, it's about exposure and access. You know, our cultural centers are low cost, if or free, for music and art and doll making and you know, whatever it is that we're able to give through our teaching artists. We make it available. But I'd like to share that in my background, my mother took us to the museum, to the ballet, to the symphony at a very young age. So it's about exposure and then access to that. I mean, I started taking ballet class very young. I went to the High School of the Arts in Washington, D.C. It was the first. Oh, well, I'm dating myself, but I was in the first graduating class. And then
Mhm.
I went to New York and I got a scholarship with Alvin Ailey and was in one of the junior companies. And you had to do ballet, modern jazz. You had to do all of it. But the basis was classical ballet because if you have that technical foundation, then you're free.
Hmm.
So you can do anything with a solid discipline under your belt. And also, you don't fall far from the tree if something goes wrong on stage. You know, I became an actress because of I had to reinvent myself. I injured both of my legs, and I could no longer dance. I spent a little time with the dance at Harlem,
Mhm.
going back to Alien and being a modern dancer. And you know, it's that discipline at a young age, that exposure as a young girl, really helped to cultivate my taste and to know and understand what I was seeing and hearing as an adult. And I think that's really, really important. And also, I was looking at pathways, and she mentioned about the symphony. If you don't see yourself, you don't feel
Hmm.
that you can attain it, you know. And so, if the symphonies were completely diverse, or if there was a pathway from children's programming through into serving or getting a position in the symphony, you know, it's very difficult. And I just will share finally that my husband is a composer, arranger, conductor, and his hum is classical music. He made his money in R&B, but his hum is classical music. And oh my goodness, you should hear some of his compositions. It just um, and as a child, that was in him. So somehow, and I'm so excited about your work, Camille. I've got to come to your facility and see what you do. But
Yes,
to
please.
able to unlock that, to have the key to unlock that, and to see it in real time as you're describing, is so exciting. So yes, I feel it's about exposure and access.
Hmm.
You know, this is really fascinating stuff, and I'm just sitting here thinking you have the Vision Theater right there in Leimert Park, and then that's probably about is less than 5 miles away. You have the Beckman Yola Center, and then over there, man, a mile away from you, Yvonne, is the Debbie Allen Dance
Mhm.
Studio. Boy, it's popping in our area, isn't it?
It really is. It's very rich. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very rich. Yeah. 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 Well, all right. So I know that in the city of Los Angeles, Yvonne, cultural affairs is a city department. Um, like what kind of budget does the city allocate towards the operation of that budget? Like,
Well,
how serious is the city about arts and culture?
well, we're funded by the hotel tax, the Department of Cultural
Ah,
Affairs
mhm,
specifically.
mhm,
So, of course, during COVID, there was a lapse in that, but we're very serious about the arts. The arts create um, a platform like artists can say what people may be feeling and can't say themselves. They can express through their own voices or their talent, their musicianship or dancing, things that people are unable to say. And we
mhm,
totally get that and serving the artists, arts, cultural organizations. Specifically, we have, I'm uh, overseeing the Leimert Park Cultural Hub, and this programming is to help provide human and financial resources for the enhancement of Leimert Park Village, South LA at large, and of course the city. So we understand. And the city understands what it means and how important it is that the arts be there because the arts are also a healing process. You know,
mhm.
it brings about that feeling that I don't know. I don't know how you feel, Camille. But when I was dancing, I just could feel like, uh, as a person, I just felt so um, empowered and like God was dancing in me.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
As an
Mm-hmm.
actress, I felt that same feeling on stage that and for the community to receive that and feel that, I mean, it's just it's magic what the arts can do,
Mm-hmm.
especially for um, the community, and that's what we hope to and continue to um, work towards in our cultural centers and our performing arts centers is to have a place, uh, a home place.
Mhm.
Yvonne, you're so right. I mean, how many studies have there been that show the impact not only on the healing nature, but just even developmentally for young people who are exposed to the arts and arts disciplines? And I like to get technical sometimes because it was so fascinating to me when I started to really read about this and dig into it. You can see activated different neurological pathways being created
Mhm.
in the process just of music making, right? Like let's not even get into the other arts disciplines which will have the same effect, but you are literally activating different parts of your brain that help it to grow faster and
Yes.
retain more knowledge. So the science is there of, the arts is not a extra, it is a vital
Hmm.
component to education, development, and human experience, and we need to protect that.
Mhm.
And you know what I'd like to see one day? I'd like to see the doctor give a prescription for a dance class um, for
Oh,
Parkinson's.
they
Or
they're starting to do this.
oh, woohoo!
There is a study. I have to find it while we're on this
Yeah,
interview. They're starting to do this. I'm gonna look for it while we talk, Greg.
yeah. And I was going to say a prescription for Alzheimer's with music. You know, I mean, these things unlock that humanity in people, and that and or oh, what now I just got so excited. But it's the arts can heal.
Yes.
The
Yes.
arts can provide um, opening to neurological pathways, as Camille was saying, and new pathways in the brain and in the mind. And then, of course, we also open the heart,
Mhm.
and inside that heart, where the arts live, is kindness and resilience and creativity and harmony and all those gifts that come from the divine.
Absolutely. It's interesting you say that. I too have a passion for the arts as an advocate. I do play piano. I played classical piano, but my career has been mainly in radio. Even I mentioned to you, worked at KJLH for the magnificent Stevie Wonder for a little more than almost 25 years. I was there for a long time. And but music has always been the driver. I've produced so many stages, Yvonne, when they have the Martin Luther King Festival out there in Leimert Park, I actually created that with then Councilman Bernard Parks. I used to
Yeah.
build a stage and bring artists through there. I did Taste of Soul stages, gospel stages, all that. But music is my thing, and I am just a student of music history and um, and the arts. And now out here in Long Beach, I'm the vice president and president-elect of the Arts Council for Long Beach. Shout out to Griselda Suarez, our exceptional executive director. And you mentioned, Yvonne, the hotel tax. And just for people who are watching, so we operate the same way. We're not officially a city organization, but we're shoulder to shoulder with them, right? And so, and there's always that debate on whether or not we should be a city department or whatever, but it's really a separate entity. But there are organizations, arts organizations within the city of Long Beach who do benefit from the hotel tax. So for people who are listening, when people come and they stay in the municipality in the city, part of your hotel tax in Vegas, they call it resort fee, right? It's part of your hotel tax goes back to arts and culture, right? In that particular city. Other cities might uh, tax, if you will, the public works sector of their construction that's going on in the city, and there might be a 1% or 0.5% or whatever the formula is of the cost of that construction project would go back to arts and culture within the city. So, see, your city governments have a plan for arts and culture. I know Inglewood really, really well, and I'm very close to Sabrina, and I'm really glad to see their arts commission begin to thrive a little bit more. Not saying they weren't doing anything before. I'm just saying there's a lot going on. They got a bigger canvas now over there. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I thank both of you for your advocacy and pushing forward with arts and culture. And it's an important time in our place to make sure that governments embrace the arts, to make sure that they put financial resources, out there for arts and culture. There are political forces out there who don't give a care about arts and culture, so we have to make sure that we vote and think about those politicians that would have our arts and culture best interest at heart. Now, let me ask both of you. I know I keep hearing that they're taking, people will say they take music out of the schools, they're taking music, or I know here in Long Beach, one of our advocacies is arts in the schools, but it's like you got to be really about it, right, to get into this arts in the schools. How difficult is it, do you all see? Or I guess what is just talk to the parents, put it like, let me just share it like that. Talk to the parents on how important it is to preserve an arts curriculum in the school system.
Greg, it's super critical. I mean, we touched on it just even in this call very briefly about the importance of arts for your child. I'm a mother of two. Arts has been a part of their life from day one. And it's not just because that's my discipline, it's because it's what's needed for them to be holistic people. So I think what I think we parents really should absorb, we are advocates for our children, for Yvonne mentioned the word access, for the access that they have to every resource that will help them be the most wonderful version of themselves that they can be. So, when we're talking about mental health support resources, food security, housing security, we know all these things contribute to the well-being of a young person. I think parents need to understand that this is also that missing piece. And because we don't always fight for it, we're not always aware, we think it's extra. It always gets cut first.
Yeah.
And if we really absorbed and knew, that's why I love to bring, whenever I have conversations with parents or an info session or an orientation, I always love to bring a little bit of the science into it. So don't just take my feel good word for it as an artist. here's some data, here are the numbers, that show you the difference. And I think when we start bringing those figures to the fore, it gives our parents tools to understand what they need to fight for. And so then when we're going to our school districts or our school leaders and we say, no, 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 we need to think about budget differently, we protect the arts. And what I love to see, there's a movement now, for arts education ballot measure, that's trying to be pushed through. And that's another critical step. So now we have artists and leaders in the industry, if you will, understanding that their pathways would not have been built had they not been exposed and had access, uh, to the arts in their lives. And it doesn't mean that you end up becoming the Beyoncés of the world. It doesn't mean that. You still can become that doctor, the lawyer, the social worker, whatever that is, but you will be a more compassionate, aware, empathetic human being that will, that won't allow for things like, hopefully one day, this conflict in Ukraine, right? That doesn't drive us to want to harm one another in such a way. So very critical.
And I agree with Camille. It's not about being a star. The arts make you a well-rounded human being. And I know the story of a young man just very angry, and no one could figure out what he was so angry about as coming through school. And so one teacher was astute enough to say, "Boy, come over here, sit down. Let me see what if you can write this." And he sat down and he wrote that piece of music. The next thing you know, he's writing for the choir. He's writing. I mean, but you need to be able to see maybe that, maybe that key is that person actually has a gift or talent that's not being tapped into. And then that, of course, made that him a better student, you know, in terms of math and history and other studies. So it's not all, as Camille said, it's not all always about being a star. I know that from taking acting classes or studying theater, when you stand up in a courtroom, you know how to speak,
Hmm.
how to hold yourself.
Hmm.
Even in a boardroom, how to sit, how to be there, how to take your take your center stage, so to speak. So these are the gifts that the arts bring, and parents, it's important. Not everyone's going to make it to Beyonce. Not everyone's going to be Denzel. But one thing I have to say about that is that it's about what you think, how you define success.
Mm.
And for me, when I was an actor, I had a fairly good career in television, but I define success as being a working actor. You know, I was a working actor, and that's a very small percentage of people that even get that.
That's
But
right.
that comes with time and training and uh, you know taking things seriously. When you to get to that level,
Mhm.
so that you can have insurance and you can have an income, you can take care of yourself. So if you go that route.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, for very profound stuff, coming around to the approaching, not quite, but for the end of our time, I want to kind of turn the lens, if you will, globally, right? So we here at the Dream Creator Studio, Hannibal Media Group, we are a global, organization. We are dedicated to building bridges of music, arts, and culture with Africa and African Americans, right? And so we were in Ghana recently, and I was able to participate in the World um, Arts Conference, and then I've been invited to go back again. But it's interesting to have these linkages in our various disciplines with our brothers and sisters on the motherland. When you think about the globality of our music, globality, I hope that's a word, but it is now. If it wasn't, um, think about can you envision a bridge of music, arts, and culture with our brothers and sisters on the African continent, or have you already, put forth projects where you had that type of cultural exchange?
Well, I'll start. Um, my husband was a professor of music at Florida State for a while. I got tenured there, and one of the grants that he did was to connect um, the Negro spiritual to the continent. And
Mm-hmm.
so we took a research trip, and we were in Senegal and the Gambia, and to and what it was such an exciting trip because what connected us was the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my twin sister and I. She was with us. She was doing a lot of writing. You know, when we started dancing, that connected us to the people in that particular township or that village in a way that because they're first like Americans, and then they
Mhm.
oh it was like oh I mean this is
Mm-hmm.
a moment I will never forget in my life. And then just recently in graduate school, I just got my master's. We went to South Africa as our cohort went there, and to be able to see the arts in these the shanty towns or shack towns, they had arts and culture, and then the whole community would come together. They had the food, they had the people, and then to go to their theater in the community, it was really done by the people in the community. They weren't actors, but they did community theater. Like, this is what we call community theater, to all the way up to their world class facilities like a Lincoln Center or our music center, to be able to experience the arts from that. I mean, we went from the earth, uh, from a very earthy experience to all the way up to the more elevated experience, and to see the work being done, particularly in South Africa. When we talked to students in South Africa working on their becoming actors, and one of the things that I spoke about was to encourage and empower them to start unions, to become organized so that they have power over they're just not paid of one fee and they don't get it, that so that they can start to build something, have agency. And so anyway, so that kind of, one time when we were in Senegal, they said they looked at, our guests looked at me and said, we want our people to come and help us. We want you to come and work with us. And your heart just, so we just did everything that we can, and we have a responsibility to our brothers and sisters in other countries to link hands and work together in whatever way that we can internationally.
Camille, what about you?
Yes, no, this is I was getting a little bubbly and excited because that's exactly what the center is designed for as well. So not only, being a fantastic performance space and learning, it's also built with state-of-the-art technology. We have Internet 2 capabilities here. We have live stream capabilities. We have Zooming capabilities in each of our large classrooms for the very intent of what you're talking about, Greg, like being able to have that exchange. And recently, and I'm in talks right now with one of the music instructors from a program called Ghetto Classics that's in Nairobi. And she comes to Los Angeles when she can. She's a dancer, so that's her discipline, but she's an actor on behalf of the organization because she actually lives here in LA part-time, and then she goes over there and works with their team. And we're actually working on building out an exchange between our two programs with students who are learning instrumental music or some of their cultural music and applying it to their ensembles and what they're performing. And then also how that will exchange with us and what we're going to learn from them, what they'll learn from us. So that is something I have to say. There are so many community music programs across this country, but also across the world, that are trying to provide this access we've been talking about. And that network is building. And that's how we kind of found each other, right? Because I've been a part of this network for over a decade, in this kind of community music through social change avenue. And now we actually have the facility and the capability to do this kind of virtual and in-person exchange. And that's happening. And not a lot of programs, I have to say, with the embarrassment of riches we have here at this organization, we also take that very, very seriously. And so for me, it's a priority that we're doing those very things, that we're exchanging with these programs. So hopefully I can report back, in 6 months or so, what that exchange will be. But I'm really excited about that.
I'm gonna send both of y'all some notes.
Okay.
We got some things to talk about, that's for sure.
And Greg, I also want to point out that the city of Los Angeles, we have sister cities, and one of our theaters that we renamed the Tasco is a sister city with that city in Mexico. So those bridges are there, and so we just need to activate them even more. But we do have an emphasis on international relations.
I've been working with my good friend Tony Simmons Henson down in Atlanta, the Black Theater Festival of Atlanta Black Theater Festival. That's the name of the organization. And we've been building this bridge. She's the one who actually we actually were going to Ghana at the same. It just happened to be going at the same time. And that's when she invited me to become a part of her global exchange, and we were there with what amounts to the Ghanaian SAG. We spoke, we intersected with the National Theater of Ghana, the National Dance Company of Ghana. It was pretty powerful. And then I made several trips to South Africa and did cultural exchanges with broadcasters and contemporary music artists and everything like that. That's a very very near and dear to my heart. But I'm sitting here contrasting. You said Negro spirituals and West Africa, and the blues too. I can tell you a story of a very well known musician in Mali. And he's on. It's a documentary, what I'm about to describe, but he's talking about the American blues, and he says Americans think that they invented the blues, but no, these comes from Mali. As this West African instrument, and when he hit his licks, it was like, whoa, it was exactly the same. And so that's important for music, arts, and culture. Whew, you guys have made my morning. I'm glad to have met you today. This is great stuff.
Thank you.
I'm coming to both your venues to do some events. I need to get it. Let's go. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Any last words you'd like to say to the people? What is the important thing you'd like to leave with anyone who may be watching or listening to this podcast?
Well, I'm happy to start, Greg. First of all, thank you so much again. And Yvonne, we will definitely connect. It's such a pleasure to speak with you too. I'll just say that it's an honor to be in the city of Inglewood, to have this facility here. And we want to make sure that it is a vessel that is serving the young people of this community, that's growing with them, that becomes an additional beacon for arts and culture that are already existent here and already so palpable and strong. And this is just a way for us to amplify that and to build bridges and connectivity locally, nationally, internationally. So, and also to the parents and to the community, arts are vital for young people to thrive. Say it again, arts are vital for young people to thrive. So please get our young people into arts programs. They can still do the sports, they can still do the other things, but they have to do the arts too.
All right, Yvonne?
Well, I just want to share that the DCA advances the social and economic impact of arts and culture through grant making, public art, community arts, performing arts, strategic marketing, development, design, and digital research. And we create and support programming, maximizing relationships with other city agencies, artists, arts, and cultural nonprofit organizations to provide excellent service in neighborhoods throughout Los Angeles. And on a personal note, I just want to thank you for having me, and it's such a pleasure to be on the program with Camille, and to know that You are putting this forward, especially where it concerns classical music, giving that exposure. It's such a joy to see, and it really warms my heart. And I know that great things are to come.
Well, I received that. I know. Look, I know you're a preacher too. I'm already feeling I'm already feeling your essence. I was going to ask you about that because I'm feeling like I'm levitating in here. Listening to you. What's our affirmation today, Yvonne? Give us an affirmation real quick.
Let's see. We know that spirit is working through everything that we do, and that the arts and culture specifically can lift and elevate and bring joy and healing and wholeness and possibility for all things great and good.
Yeah. I received that. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm
Man.
excited. Camille, I need two questions for you. So, did they dig down to make the room for the auditorium, and what's the capacity?
Say the first part of the question again,
Did
Greg.
they dig down? Is it
Oh,
like
yes. So
okay,
where the concert hall is itself is actually the former basement of the bank where the vault was. They had to bring the
okay,
big
right? Yeah.
vault out. So they went down, and then there's a pop up as well. So that creates that 45 foot
Oh,
gap. That's acoustical sweet spot. And then we have a hall capacity for about 300.
300.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You know, Frank and oh man, I wanted to mention their name, and now I can't remember. They sold that building, moved to Cape Town.
Oh,
So you
really?
had the Burger King. So like if you're on Manchester facing your building,
Yes.
on the left side was the Burger King. On the
Hmm.
right side was the Amen Center.
Right.
And they own that building,
They were
right?
there
And
for many years, right? Like
oh, like
10, 15 years.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, there were a lot of years, right?
Yeah.
And so he was like a aerospace NASA rocket scientist guy. And
Wow.
so their community organization was the Amen African American Male Enrichment and Achievement Program, something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was really good, a STEM program.
Right.
It was really really good and really really potent. And for man, I can't remember their last name. Anyway, they moved to Cape Town.
Wow.
You
Wow.
living it up. So that's good. I have some pictures when they started. I'll send you some pictures. I have some pictures I took on my phone. I was over there and I saw them putting it under construction, and I was like, it just looked weird.
Yeah. I'm
It's like,
sure.
hey, they're tearing our building up, but it's good.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, you guys, look at Inglewood,
Yeah.
LA, Long Beach. What's it? Nothing but a G thing. All right, you guys. Look at you
Thank
could get
you.
us on Coffee Conversations with Greg J. That's our Facebook page. We're streaming live on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. We're all that. But if you missed it, it's always there on demand. Then we repurpose the video to audio, and wherever you get your favorite podcast, you can check us out. Just Google it. Coffee Conversations with Greg J. We're there. We're on Apple, iHeart, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google, all of them. Just we just got Spotify. Hey, we're trying to be worldwide with our message here. We're all about the arts and culture. We're all about preserving culture from a global perspective. And I just think I just feel blessed for being able to meet people like Sister Camille right here, Sister Yvonne, and these are my new friends. And look, you guys, when we go see me, I will come knocking on your door and say, "Hey, what's going on? What can we do? What can we do?" It's all about arts and culture, and like we say, hashtag for the culture. Thank y'all for listening. Remember, love one another, love one another, love one another. Peace and blessings.
Peace and